Welcome to 1000 PS. We're in the Austrian Alps, ready to put Honda's new Africa Twin for 2024 through its paces. So it may look like the normal Africa Twin that we're all familiar with, that I've done countless and endless miles on, but this is a new model for 2024. So what Honda have done is kind of simplified and split their Africa Twin. So you've now got an Africa Twin with a 19-inch front wheel, which is more orientated towards adventure touring on-road. And then you've got the 21-inch front wheel adventure Africa Twin, which is what we've got today. Now what they've also done, apart from splitting the Africa Twin into kind of more road and off-road, is that they've given us the option of electronic suspension for the first time, which is what we have fitted to the Africa Twin with the conventional 21-inch front wheel. What they've also done is tweak the engine slightly and given it 7% more torque. So peak power stays the same, peak torque stays the same. But what they have done is given it an increase in overall torque of 7%, which is a significant jump in torque on the big Africa Twin. Everything else kind of much stays the same. Rider aids, I guess, have been recalibrated slightly to compensate for that extra torque. You've got 6 rider modes, you've got traction control, wheelie control, cornering ABS, and the familiar Africa Twin layout, switchgear and dash, and adjustable screen that, slightly annoyingly, you have to do with both hands. You can't do it one-handed. Now you can take 2 hands off to do that, but that's not recommended. Speaking of the dash, it's a kind of real love or hate relationship most people have got with the Africa Twin. Personally, I've done a lot of miles on the Africa Twin when it was 1,000 up to 1,100. I've ridden it off-road, I've ridden it on-road. And when I was riding the Africa Twin, when I get on the bike, I find it relatively easy to change the TC, turn off the anti-wheelie, play with the modes and change everything. But a lot of the guys I'm riding with here at 1000 PS are getting quite frustrated by the switchgear. Also, if in winter or when it's raining and you've got big cumbersome gloves on, it's quite hard to navigate the switchgear. The dash itself is really simple, clear and easy to read. It's more the navigation than the viewing of the screen. It's just a little bit confusing, but again, if you're used to an Africa Twin, it's a little bit easier. The cruise control is pretty simple, the start up and everything else is pretty simple. It's just kind of the cluster a little bit on the left hand side some people love or hate. We've also got the manual bike here because we wanted to try and keep it as simple as possible. So we've not opted for the DCT version, which allows you to change gear without clutch. So switchgear and clocks aside, we've essentially got the same Africa Twin with the same 21-inch front wheel, the same relatively tall seat, which is 850 to 870 mil, and we've got more torque but the same peak power and the same peak torque. The old bike, to be honest, didn't really lack in torque. I didn't think it was down that much in torque, but this new Africa Twin has got so much drive. It's really like 5th and 6th gear. Even when you're coming around like slow 2nd and 3rd gear turns here in the Austrian Alps, you could just use a real high gear and just get this tha 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 tha. I don't know if that's a technical terminology, tha 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 tha, but you kind of just feel that parallel twin just driving from really low down. It just flows up to the next hairpin. Even when you're coming up some of these steep mountain passes, it's just 3rd, 4th, use that low bottom end, use it, drive it up to the next one, again into the next one. It's all about low and bottom end mid-range. It's a really competitive middleweight adventure class, and the Africa Twin's real ace card is that drive, that usability, that low down performance, that ease of use and fueling. It's really simple and easy and nice to ride at relatively brisk pace without dancing up and down the gearbox chasing the RPM. In terms of handling, we've now got the semi-active suspension, which basically changes depending on the mode. So I think you've got soft, medium and hard off the top of my head. And as you change the modes, you change the way the suspension feels. In the softer modes, It is soft, as you'd expect. It's like so soft and really kind of almost bouncy castle, almost cartoony. Just takes everything you can throw at it. You get it on the motorway, put the cruise control on. Don't take two hands off the handlebars to adjust the screen, and just sit back and enjoy that comfortable ride. But then when you get into the passes, you can change the suspension. It firms up a little. There's a little bit less transfer. You can have enjoyment. You can have some fun. So we have the Africa Twin with a 21-inch front wheel. So obviously the steering is a little bit heavy, but you're not kind of forcing it into the corner. You're just noticing that you've got quite a lot of weight and you've got a big front wheel to get it over. But once it's over and into the corner, it's really, really solid and really forgiving. And again, just use that torque to drive it back out and into the next one. It's not really light and agile. I mean, quoted weight is 233 kilograms, so it is getting towards the heavy end of this adventure market. But a lot of people will like that. A lot of people will like the taller seat. A lot of people will like that 21-inch front wheel and that big bike feel. Honda haven't kind of invented the wheel. They've not made a massive transformation on the Africa Twin. They've basically given you now two options, because you've got 21-inch front wheel or 19-inch front wheel, where before you just had 21, and you've got options with suspension, adjustable semi-active or none, and you've got options with gearboxes, DCT or not DCT. We've gone for 21-inch front wheel because we intend to do some off-road. We've gone for the manual clutch to keep the price lower, and we've gone for the semi-active suspension. As I said, it's not reinventing the wheel. They've just given it more torque, more drivable, more ease of use, made it a little bit more zippy, a little bit more fun. It's still got all the excellent qualities of the old Africa Twin. The only kind of major downside is 50% of the people are not going to like the switchgear, and the other side is price. So the base price starts at $13,199. But then for the semi-active suspension, you're going to throw on another 1,500 quid. So it's starting to get a little bit pricey for the Africa Twin, especially we compare it to some of the competition. And you've got a lot of bikes in here. You've got everything from KTM 890 to the F900 GS, the Tiger, the Stelvio, the Norden Expedition. It's kind of a big list and a big option of bikes that you want. But if you're going to opt for the Africa Twin route, you're going to enjoy a really comfortable, enjoyable, torquey, smooth, high-end bike that can take on almost anything.
As we wrap up this video, we'd like to say a big thank you. A production of this scale is only possible thanks to you, our loyal 1000 PS subscribers. But we also want to express our gratitude to our partners for their support. To keep a cool head and ensure top-notch protection, we all relied on the RPHA 91 helmet during this test. And when it comes to riding gear, the finest apparel from the Italian brand Speedy made sure we not only stayed safe, but also looked great on the bike.
So we hope you enjoyed a little look at the new 2024 Africa Twin. If you've got any more technical questions about the suspension or DCT or the different models that you can have, fire the questions below. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.